Okay.
All right, here we go. Feels like we haven't seen each other in a while.
Every Tuesday.
That's always weird, isn't it? Okay, so just to kind of remind you where we're at, I still am going to have 3 different debates. There are 3 debates left as far as crime is concerned. One of them will probably be today. In addition, we've got some more theory on why people engage in crime or the effects of crime. Today, we're actually going to start looking at organized crime, which is cool stuff. There is about half of you who have not signed up for a debate topic on crime, and you half will be signing up for a race-based issue. What I can do today is show you what the topics are, but we're not signing up today, and that's because there's 20 of you, but I want it so that you're in your smaller groups starting, that would be Thursday. So you'll be signing up Thursday. It's due the Friday before Christmas break. So the last day before Christmas break, it's due, submitted on Classroom. So that you have nothing to do in here over Christmas break. Okay, so I want to do before you go. Yes, dear.
So our papers can be done after break?
Right.
So
Probably.
practice during break.
Well, this is my motivation for how I'm going to get you to have it done that Friday. One of the debates will be that day, and random magic pencil will pick which one. So you better be ready. That's right, random.
And then our papers will also be done too, right?
Okay. We're also writing as a group. We're attacking a paragraph at a time, your second paper. So I'm operating under the assumption, which is a reach for some of you, and if you're not there, fix it. I'm operating on the assumption that you have read 4 articles and that you know 2 arguments in favor of and 2 arguments against your topic, and that you've chosen which side you kind of agree with. That's the premise I'm going with as far as the writing of this bad boy, which again will start Thursday. We'll start it Thursday. Okay. Any questions on the next chunk of info? Okay, let's attack some content here, and then we'll have a debate, and then I will show you the topics for the next series of debates, and then maybe we'll lightly delve into starting the writing of your second paper. This is a rather depressing pie chart which shows the possible outcomes of women who are accusing someone of engaging in sexually inappropriate behavior, rape being the ultimate example. What happened to those people that were accused? And you can see various situations. None of them are majority. The most likely outcome is an investigation is going on. The authorities are investigating it. A lot of times it's settled out of trial. There's some sort of financial compensation to just drop it. Look at the percentage of, this is the part that's kind of depressing. What is the percentage of people that engage in this behavior and are found guilty and are rotting in jail right now?
16.5.
Right? 16.5%. That's it. That is based on statistics. The FBI accumulates statistics. If you've heard the saying, crime doesn't, you'll get caught. Unfortunately, this is suggesting otherwise. That and a lot of times it's because of shame on the part of the victim. They're ashamed to admit it, because if you accuse someone of engaging that behavior, that means you have to admit that you were at that party. And that means you have to admit that maybe you did have a little bit too much to drink. And that means you have to admit that, yeah, I kind of was going along with it at first. And so those are embarrassing details. And so some females just decide, I'll just not say a thing. I don't want the aggravation. I don't want my parents to know that about me or whatever. And so the person gets away with it. And so here I am on my soapbox advising you, if this is you, get over it. Because there's a very good chance you're not the only victim of this dirtbag. That if you let it go, they count on it. They count on you letting it go. And so then they find the next victim. And they count on that person's silence and the next victim. How often have we seen it? In fact, we saw it during the previous confirmation hearings of the latest member of the Supreme Court, where somebody accused him of engaging in inappropriate behavior 20 years ago. And then all of a sudden, all these other people started saying, you know what? He did that to me too. The problem with that is, why'd you wait 20 years? Why did you do that? Say it now, right? If it happened to you.
And then that happened
Say it
with
now.
the Olympics too, right? Or was that? I don't remember exactly what it was, but.
It happened at the Olympics?
Or like the gymnastics.
Sure did. Oh, yeah. USA Gymnastics. Oh, definitely. Oh, my God. That guy was a lowlife. Although he's rotting in prison right now, I think. So I know what I'm about to say sounds really weird, but you should be happy that rape is a thing in the U.S. Yay, rape. And that sounds weird, but I'm telling you that there are parts of the world where there's no such thing as rape. There is no rape. Because when you get married, you are now the property of the husband, and it is impossible to rape your wife. That doesn't make any sense. Various parts of Africa, the Middle East. But before you judge as less than us, the enlightened Americans, keep in mind that what I just told you at the beginning, that a lot of times the shame silences Americans from saying anything. Or the way you dressed. You asked for it. You dressed that way. You obviously wanted it to happen. Question?
In other countries, like rape isn't a thing. What if someone gets raped by someone who's not the same thing?
Right. So I can tell you of one specific instance that I'm aware of. So this happened in Iraq. And again, let's not judge because our culture has a lot of odd things about it too. But I will tell you this, that the dad found out that his daughter had been raped by someone of a different religion and grabbed her in a headlock, pulled her into the village square, and they stoned her to death. Her to death. Because in that culture, what are you doing with someone who's not your husband or your dad or your brother or your uncle? Why were you with that person? I don't know. I assume a minor because living with dad, right? Well, yes, that's right. But
isn't in like some Middle Eastern countries, like you need like 4 separate men to be a witness if you got raped?
I have heard that too. Yeah. So the amount of evidence that you have to prove to be raped is just ridiculous. Okay. Any questions here? Sorry to depress you. Depressing stuff. Okay. So let's start looking at something called organized crime. When I throw out the term organized crime, any images come to mind? Organized crime. Mobsters. Great. Anything else? Al Capone. Awesome. Cartels. Mexican drug cartels. Very good. Now we're getting into different types. Sorry? That's true. He rotted in jail because he cheated on his taxes.
Was it?
Okay, so Miss Muir's here just said brothels. And now we're getting into, this is a weird thing to think of, but what makes something an organized crime unit of study rather than random is, a lot of times, a service is provided. Organized crime provides a wanted service rather than, the husband comes home drunk and beats up his wife and kids. Well, that's drunken, idiotic behavior. It's certainly a crime, but it's not organized crime. So one of the characteristics of organized crime is a service is provided. Very good. Anything else come to mind when I throw out the words organized crime? Murder, it happens in organized crime? It absolutely does. Maybe not in the way that you think, but a lot of time when this organization comes into contact with this organization over terms of service, there's a conflict which goes on, usually involving combating over territory. And that's when killing goes on. But random acts of violence against what we'll call civilians, that's probably not going to happen. Go ahead.
I imagine like someone like slowly poisoning someone, and it like happens gradually over a period of time, and then eventually they die. And that's
There's been some elaborate. Okay, you're identifying crime within an organization, right? You're the number 2. You want to be the number 1, so you bump off the number 1 so that you become the number 1. Sure. Okay. Organized crime is often involved in something called victimless crime, which is mislabeled because clearly there are victims here. But the idea is that no one's forcing anybody to do anything against their will. When you pay for a prostitute, you can't say to the cops, my God, she cornered me. Nah, probably not, right? You're engaging in behavior that you're choosing. If you buy illegal drugs, you chose that behavior. Or gambling, right? And who provides these services? These organized crime units, okay? So organized crime and victimless crime are intertwined. It is the organized crime unit that provides the service, which is often illegal. And that's why organized crime provides it. What I'm doing in this column here is I'm identifying characteristics of organized crime. How do you know it's organized crime rather than just sort of some other type of crime? Okay. Well, character number 1, they're providing a service, or we'll call it a victimless crime. A service is being provided. Number 2, there's allocation of territory. My organized crime unit controls this area of the city. Your organized crime unit controls that area of the city. The borders are where there's going to be friction, but we'll work that out either violently or we'll come to an agreement. And then, in other words, there's monopolies going on. Okay? They set prices. They set prices for their service, whether it's the illegal drug that they're providing or the cut on the gambling that they're providing. There are parts of large cities where there are underground casinos. And they happen, and the house gets a cut, just like Vegas. Vegas is legal. Okay. Does anyone know what arbitration means?
Arbitrary is meaningless.
So no. Okay. So let's say that this library is a city, and the areas between each desk are the streets. And I've got my turf, and it includes First Avenue. This is First Avenue. Okay? And then my rival is Young there, and she thinks that's her turf. So I've got some of my dealers selling on the streets, and she's got some of her dealers selling on the same streets, and they get in an altercation, and someone got stabbed or whatever. Now, I could organize my soldiers to go all-out war against your soldiers, which did happen. But wouldn't it be better if we could just work this out? Hire a judge, and there are people whose job it is to settle disputes between organized crime units. They're called arbitrators. I argue my case, she argues her case, and the arbitrator renders a decision like it's a jury, and we both agree to go with the decision of the arbitrator. See, because we're civilized. Yes, dear.
So, an arbitrator is employed by the organized crime.
You got it.
People, right?
You got it.
I was thinking they were working for the government, and I was
Oh, probably not. Yeah, probably not. Does anyone know what money laundering is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like it was when.
You want to explain it? Someone? Go ahead.
I can try. So, isn't it when there's like a front for something? Like there's like you could have like a store or like a restaurant or something, and like Well, that's like usually what it is. Like they have a front, and then they're. Isn't it making money?
Very good.
Making
Probably
money,
like two.
like they say they're making money from this business, but they're actually making money, like literally making money.
Very good. Okay. So they make money illegally, but they still pay taxes. These are people that have a role in society, and they have to report their income to the IRS. And when they write on the IRS form how you make your money selling drugs, that sort of interests the FBI agents. You sell drugs? That's illegal. Oh, well, then what I do is I create an alternate business and I make it seem like that's how I made the money rather than the illegal business. The second part about money laundering is that it's literally true as well. They actually wash their money. They wash it because they need to clean the fingerprints off of these scumbags who buy the illegal product. They got to clean that stuff. So they do. So money laundering is two things: hiding how you won that money and actually washing the money, like in washing machines.
Wasn't it also wasn't the term also part of or stems from, I don't remember who it was, but they use laundromats as their front?
Oh, sure. Laundromats are another one. Garbage collection.
Isn't there like a theory that like mattress stores are them too?
Sure. Any business. It doesn't matter. Any business. Any of you who watched Breaking Bad? Okay. Okay. Walter White had to hide his money somehow. And so created a whole front, a legit business, supposedly to hide the money. Another characteristic, they're often involved in other organizations, labor unions. They'll bribe judges. They'll bribe government officials in order to, let's say, for example, that there's an organization that sells something, but their front business is they're in construction. Okay. Well, this construction company needs business. So they'll bribe a government official to give that company the contract to build to repave that street so that they can report their income as legit. So they're bringing in cops, they're bringing in elected officials, mayors, governors. Every once in a while they get caught too. Witness intimidation. So let's say that when one of these drug deals goes down, I saw it. I saw it happen. So I call 911 and I report it. And now I'm on trial. I'm not on trial. I'm a witness at the trial, but it's one of the employees of that organized crime unit. And on the day I'm supposed to testify, I open my mailbox and there's a picture of my dog with a black line running right over the neck of it with a little sign saying, "Don't." Right? So now I decide I didn't see a thing, Your Honor. I wasn't there. So witness intimidation. So that's a little bit of a hurdle to overcome. How do you get witnesses that saw organized crime activities to testify when sometimes the organizations will target those people? How do we overcome that one? It's a cute little term called taxes. That's cute because you and I might call it something else. Did you know that your taxes pay for the cops?
Yeah.
And those cops provide protection, right? So imagine, here we are on First Avenue again, and Ian here just owns a cute little candy store. So I show up saying, "Hey, look, listen, I'd hate to have anybody throw a rock through your front window. If you pay me, I'll make sure that doesn't happen. Don't pay the cops. They won't prevent it. But if you pay me, I'll make sure it doesn't happen, rocks through your window." Rocks are thrown through the window the next night. So I show up the next day saying, "Hey, I could have prevented that. Pay me and no rocks through your window." He refuses to pay again. Rocks through the window. I show up the next day. "You gonna pay me? Did you rub my lamp?" "Ian, you gonna pay me now?"
Yeah.
And then suddenly the rock stopped throwing through the window.
I'm not gonna.
Any detectives in here figure that out?
What a coincidence. I guess
I was the one who threw the rocks through the window.
Wait, really? What?
Wow.
Okay, if you pay me this tax, it won't happen.
I have a refund.
Okay, next one is called upward mobility. These are organizations, right? Think about this school. I could start here. I could be a substitute teacher, but then I get my degree, and so I'm a regular teacher. And then I think I could do greater good if I become the principal. And then one day I think I could do even greater good. Why affect one building when I can affect 3? And I could become the superintendent. And then I think, man, I think I should be on this, right? There's upward mobility. A regular crime group ends when they're caught, right? These 6 like to steal things, so they go to Target and they've got lookouts and they steal pretty dresses and jewelry, and then they get caught, and then it's over. An organized crime unit replaces their members with new members. When you're out, someone takes your place. Does anyone remember what that's called? What? It's a bureaucracy. Very good. The title stays. The people come and go. The title stays. Organized crime units survive their members. They keep going. Anyone ever heard of Hell's Angels? Hell's Angels? They were big after World War II. They're still around. Now, the original Hell's Angels people are really old now. They've got young blood. They keep going, right? Okay. Any questions here?
I don't know how to spell bureaucracy. Yeah.
Upward mobility.
That's when you switch out.
That's when you can move up to become the boss of a crew, and then you become the boss of the crew, and then maybe you're the top dog. You're the narco.
How do you spell bureaucracy?
Okay. This is why this green box is why organized crime thrives. Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. Statement 1, society wants something. Statement 2, the thing they want is illegal. Statement 3, they need someone to provide it. Here comes organized crime. So fill in the blank. Society wants
Drugs.
meth. That something is illegal. Organized crime provides the meth. Society wants prostitution. Prostitution is illegal. Organized crime provides the prostitution. Society wants marijuana in most states still. Marijuana use is illegal. Organized crime provides the marijuana. During Prohibition, society wants liquor. Liquor is illegal. Organized crime provides the liquor. Those breweries made root beer during the day and beer during the night. Organized crime.
I grew up in a town that did that.
What town?
Burgoff, Monroe. Yeah, Burgoff root beer. For the longest time, they still have it, but the prohibition, they would actually, before it actually came the amendments, they would come, people would come to Monroe, Wisconsin.
Awesome. So is that Melrose Monroe? Is that St. Mary?
Monroe, South Madison.
You actually live in Somerset. I don't know if you knew that. Somerset was a supply town for liquor to the Twin Cities. Yay, Somerset. We're on the map. We're somebody. So I'm showing you now an example of the organization that exists, different organized crime organizations that exist. For example, the Italian Mafia. If you've ever seen the movie Godfather, it's all about the Italian Mafia. You'll notice that a lot of times these things are linked to an ethnic group. Every ethnic group's got their organized crime unit. For we whites, it's biker gangs. For the Italians, it's the Mafia. For the Japanese, it's something called the Yakuza. There's a really good movie called Rising Sun. It's kind of old, but it's all about the Japanese Yakuza. It's pretty good. If you're ever in Japan, by the way, if you're ever in Japan and you see a Chrysler drive by, Yakuza, they love Chryslers, the car, right? It's a dead giveaway that that's a Yakuza member, okay? Biker gangs, Hells Angels are one of them. Biker gangs are kind of interesting. They really developed after World War II. So these American soldiers fought in Europe. They killed Nazis. They ran tanks. They flew planes. They come back here and they can't get a job filling gas. They become disillusioned. Over there, they were important. Over here, they're nobody. So they buy a motorcycle and they roam the highways. But that doesn't pay real well. So they engaged in selling of illegal drugs to finance their journey across the country. Okay, because a lot of times that's what's happening. We need to raise money to live our lifestyle. Drugs pays. It pays well. Okay. The Russian mafia. Here's another example. Mexican drug cartels. You're actually looking. This is kind of an interesting map. You're actually looking at a map of Mexico and the allocated territory of different Mexican drug cartels. They see Mexico differently than the Mexican government sees it. Mexican government sees that, well, it's all one thing called Mexico. The cartels see it. This is one cartel, and here's another cartel. And where it gets iffy is right on the border. You know, who controls the line between Team Blue and Team Green? That's where they get into conflict. I saw a hand up. Go ahead.
This might be a stupid question, but if the government knows about all these like cartels and like crime groups, why can't they like put them all in jail?
It's hard.
It's a really good question. We currently live in a nation that presumes innocence, where they have very small organized crime difficulties is in countries where the government is all powerful and can just throw everybody in jail. If I threw everyone in here in jail, I would get the drug dealer that I know is in here. I know one of you is a drug dealer. I know one of you is a drug dealer. So what I do is I put all of you in prison. Did I get the drug dealer?
Yeah.
Damn right I did. Now, we don't live in that country. We live in a country where better that the guilty go free than the innocent go to prison, right? Presumed innocence. I think what Oman said is correct. It's difficult to convict someone. The threshold of guilt is high. You have to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
That, and if they get one person, there's no guarantee that they get everyone.
That's true. Remember, just because I get that member, somebody else takes a spot. The organization lives on. Okay. Okay, very good. Any questions? That's enough of that. Okay, put your slides away. Or your, allow me to just show you. We're not picking anything, but if you did not sign up for a debate on crime, you will be choosing one of these 5 Thursday. So take a look, see if any of them sort of interest you. I'll be happy to read through them. Okay. So in a lot of cases, the topic of crime overlaps with race a lot with a lot of these, not all of them, but a lot of them. Okay. So how about refugees? Should the U.S. welcome refugees to our shores? Yes or no?
Ooh,
Something called racial profiling. That's an interesting one. So racial profiling goes something like this. All right. We know that there's a mass murder in Minneapolis. The target, young white females. Okay. Do you know what the FBI already knows just based on those things? The FBI knows that the perpetrator is probably what gender?
Male.
Male. Murderers are overwhelmingly male. What race?
White.
White. Mass murderers almost always murder their own. They almost always mass murder their own culture. How old is this guy?
Older.
upper 30s and probably a mustache, right? Okay, right? Without even finding a fingerprint. The FBI knows this stuff, and that is because of something called profiling. What the FBI will do is they'll say, who normally engages in this type of crime? This race, this gender, this age generally does it. All right, now go look for a white guy in his 30s. So I believe in this room right now, exactly one person fulfills that set of qualities. The FBI would be very interested in Mr. Barry. He fits the profile. The problem, though, is,
Outliers.
I hope this is true, Mr. Barry didn't do it. None of the evidence points to him doing it. It fits the profile, but while we're investigating Mr. Barry, the actual perpetrator is getting away with it. So, for example, how many of you have ever heard of the Oklahoma City bombing? Oklahoma City bombing. What the government assumed after that incident is it must have been a Middle Eastern terrorist. And the 3 white guys that did it got away for a while. So sometimes profiling works, but sometimes it doesn't. So what do you think? Should it be used? Third one, pretty straightforward. Should we use Native American mascots for schools or colleges, right? So Florida State Seminoles. Aren't you insulting the Seminole? North Dakota. They used to be the Fighting Sioux. Now they're the, what is it, Redhawks? Warhawks? What are they? Are they the Warhawks? Is that right? Fighting Warhawks. Okay. You know why they did that? It went against North Dakota's wishes. North Dakota wanted to keep Fighting Sioux, but the NCAA came in and said, if you keep that name, you will be banned from all NCAA competition, and they've got a pretty good hockey team. And so they finally said, fine. Okay, should schools be able to use controversial mascots? I'll give you the ultimate example. They're called the Washington Redskins. Washington Redskins. You think Native Americans long ago said, hey, Redskin, what's up? Ah! No. Redskin is what whites called them. And we have a pro football team. Can you imagine? Yeah, the Harlem Negroes. Sweet. Really good at basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, should it be allowed or not? Number 4. Do any of you know what hate crimes are?
Yeah.
Hate crimes.
Terrorism.
Well, I'll say
not necessarily.
maybe. Okay. Person A kills person B. Evidence used to convict or not. After the trial's over, did you know the federal government can then put the person on trial again if person A is one race and person B is another? So person A is black, the victim's white, or person A is white, the victim's black. The federal government can put you on trial again because it's a hate crime. So man murders his wife, one trial, it's over. But a couple white boys kill a gay person. Trial, another trial. Is that fair? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. What do you think? Should there be hate crimes?
Is there like context for it, or does it not matter?
Of course there's context.
Okay.
And then the final one.
Like there has to be evidence that there's racism.
Do we need to be more vigilant about racial discrimination? Racial discrimination, basically what I mean by that is schools that don't let people in because they're racist, prisons that are racist, organizations that are racist. Do we have enough on the books so we don't need new laws, or do we need to revisit that and strengthen those laws? So all of these have a yes-no component. You're siding for one or the other in your debate. There's room for 10 people, but 2 different sections, right? So 20 of you will be doing this. Okay. Any questions on these?
Mr. Potter, can you please fix your cuff? It's been bothering me all class.
My what?
Your cuff, it's folded.
Oh my gosh.
No questions? All right, let's do a debate and
Do we have time?
20 minutes.
Oh yeah, it was just.
Oh my
50.
God.
I forgot we were to 50. I thought we were to 30.
Okay, I got Taylor Paulson, body cameras, and then Danielle. So Taylor, you're up.
All right.
Are you
I need to run
on
through
class?
mine. I haven't yet.
I need to, like,
That's
it's
fine. You can
done,
just log in and read.
but I haven't said it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
I haven't ran through mine. Because when you practice it,
Do you want to turn it in real quick? Your phone.
when you run through it, you catch so many mistakes. That's what when we did our AIDS one,
Okay.
we like did it, like
What are
we
you
were
gonna
like in my room, like running through it, like oh that doesn't really make sense. Let's reword that, and then we know what we're going to say.
I
you know
go
when you're
through it
going
and
into
I'm writing
too
a
much
script
detail.
for it. I'm writing a script.
Yeah.
Well, like a script. Loose.
Yeah. Because thing is, I often remember exactly everything I've ever read, especially when I did Miss Crowley's room. I felt really now.
Oh my God,
Looking
Crowley's
back
room?
on it, I feel really bad every time, like for the rest of the class whenever I presented, because I would just go and go and go and go. Miss Crowley loved it. I just remembered every single
Yeah,
thing
Crowley,
I
I
read.
love it.
Because there's so many details, but how many of those details were necessary?
That was me with my last presentation where literally Potter stopped me.
Yeah, like stop.
He's like, we don't need to know this. And I'm just like, okay, I found this information. I thought it was cool, but okay.
So you're no. Go this minute.
I've got James, Ethan, Jenna, and
Oh, you need to be inside. You need to be inside. That matters. Same folder.
she'll go next.
Can I log me out? Yeah. And she's arguing yes, right?
No, you're breaking complete.
Did you just turn it in? Okay, hit refresh.
I don't think I even hit turn it on. It's right there. Second row.
Okay, keep in mind, she worked hard on this, I think. So extend her the courtesy of listening, and also keep in mind that you're going to have to say something you learned about this. So. Okay, the topic is a really good one. Should police be required to use body cameras? I assume you're arguing yes.
Yes.
Go.
All right.
Nice and loud.
Okay, so it benefits the police for them having body cameras. It will show how the people act while the police are interacting with them. And if people lie about what the police did, there's like actual proof and evidence of what they did. It holds police accountable for their actions because they're being recorded at all times. It helps the administration make sure the police officers are doing their job the way they're trained to do it and not just whoever they want to. And it helps reflect for the trainings. Like, so if like the police officer did something wrong after their training, then they can, okay, you gotta do it this way, you did it wrong. And there's also less complaints being made towards the police and unnecessary forces because interactions are captured and like recorded. It also benefits the people. It will show how the police officers act while they're interacting with them. If the police did something wrong while interacting with the people and the citizen made a complaint, there would be video confirming that. And a large majority of people wanted cameras as a way for departments to be more transparent, which means like the department can't hide anything. So by having like the footage, they can show everything. And it increases safety. Police body cameras increases the safety of the public and the police. By having police officers with body cameras, people will act differently because they know what they're being filmed. The body cameras can encourage good behavior by police officers and the public and decrease violence. It also protects police officers and citizens from false accusations, claims of misconduct, or abuse. And I have a quote that I found. Quickly releasing body camera video can help enhance public trust. So just by the police wearing the body cameras increases the public's trust, because with the cameras they know what the police are getting to. They know if the police are getting to where help is needed, and they will send out the video as soon as they can. So for example, a shooting. When police officers are on the scene with their camera, they're going to have a recording of the majority of the people that were there. After watching the tape, they then have to go find those witnesses to interview them and ask them questions regarding the scene. Once they all get the information they need, the video can be released to the public. If they were to release it right away without any investigating, people who weren't actually there could say they were there and easily make things up. And I have a graph. This graph is showing the results of the first city to ever use police body cameras. It shows how the problem of force incidents and citizens' complaints started very high, but then the city's police got body cameras, and then those problems began to decrease tremendously.
And you think that the cameras caused fewer force incidents and fewer citizens' complaints?
Yes. Oh.
I got it.
Okay. And then here are some pictures of what the body cameras look like. They don't try to hide it because they want you to know that okay, you're being filmed. So that's how it
So can the cops turn it off?
Yeah, they can.
So it's up to them. They can turn it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't know how accurate, or I don't know if it's accurate word, but how good that is, because then be okay, I'm gonna turn it off and I'm gonna do this.
Right.
You know? So I feel like they should, the department should be able to turn it off.
Okay. Oh, really?
That's what I think.
Is that possible?
I don't know. I'm
I don't
pretty
see
sure
why
they have
it
the
would.
option to turn it on.
We'll bring up debate questions later. But okay, very good. By the way, I forgot to reach. Thank you. So actually, Emma, you should go next. Let's hear one side and then the other side. So Emma is also arguing in favor of body cameras.
If I attach it to your classroom, I don't know if I need that.
I'm ready.
Let's see.
What?
Did you already do it?
I don't think so.
Do you know how?
I just use SIRS to find both arguments.
Or when it's foggy or weather. The humidity to make the camera wonky too.
Yeah.
Like condensation, what happens to glasses? It's a lens.
What happens to glasses? I should know. I've made so many jokes about how glasses should have mini window wipers.
Yeah.
I need to.
Well, because I've been. Remember, what was I running? Oh, I was running. We were doing the lake run or the serial run with cross country, and it was downpouring. And Olivia had her glasses. She was like, "I'm taking these off. There's no point." And I'm like, "Yeah," because every time she cleaned them, she put them back on and they just got drenched again. And there's a point where her drying them on her shirt did nothing because her shirt was soaked.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, hold on, guys. Can we pause? I'll just put these in my pocket and I'll go partially blind. And it's like, okay. I think Jordan did the same thing.
See,
yeah, or was it Jordan that did that? It was one, yeah.
if you use SIRS,
I think I was running with two.
I use
Didn't
SIRS
really.
for your argument point, for the other side, but I use SIRS for what I was arguing and other sources.
I only use one because I used to quote from it. Not often.
It's supposed to make the departments it's supposed to make
Aren't they
departments more
only-
transparent. No,
Isn't it kind of like bus cameras? They only review them if they're
yeah, and then the department gets to choose whether the video is real.
Yep. And the thing is that
And it's like,
So they're not going to become more transparent. They're just going to give you more false.
the people to the cops and like go through and see what they really want to see. And it's
can they edit them?
Yep.
Do they have to tell you if they're edited?
And if they don't, like,
If you see Shrek in the corner, no, it's Photoshop.
the police don't want this to get complicated investigations. Have the public see it, be like, oh, over here, over here, over here.
Danielle's like, see, I got this.
Danielle's like,
Danielle's
like,
ready.
Fire. Danielle's like ready.
Danielle's ready.
You're
to
more ready
argue.
than I am. I still haven't done my practice. I can do it tonight though, because I'm not going home.
Oh, I'm not going home till
And then
8:30.
We're
I
not
think I'll
going
bring the
home
basketball
until
game
after,
then.
yeah, until after Pop Bam is done. Or like till like 8:10.
Whether
Yeah.
person does this, or this
Can I argue more?
Okay, second argument in favor of. And go.
Should police be required to wear full body cameras? So what are full body cameras? It's basically exactly how it sounds. It's a wearable recording system used to record events. There are benefits. So people act differently when they know that they're being filmed. So if you're a criminal and you notice that the police you're encountering has a body camera on, obviously I don't think you're going to do the same things that you normally would. And then I have to.
Do we need to hear this or
No, there's no
Okay.
sound.
is this real?
Yeah, there's a bunch of these too.
Dude, you dropped your wallet.
Wow.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
So basically my point, if he hadn't seen the camera there, I feel like he would definitely have just taken the wallet. And there's a bunch of those out there, even for crimes such as like assaulting a police or assaulting another person in front of a police. So. Full body cameras improve police accountability and protect officers from false accusations of misconduct. So it provides exact evidence of the real situation. So in court, people being accused can deny what happened and act against what the police is saying, but if it all is on camera, then they can't really deny because the proof is right there in front of them. And body cameras have brought numerous arrest cases of misconduct to the surface. They are a good tool for learning and have strong support from members of the public. It can help to train future police officers on what to do in a variety of situations because it can be explained, but a lot of people feel as though if they see it right in front of them and see it happening, they can apply it better to what a situation they might actually face. It makes sure officers act within the law. So like I said, in court, the accuser can lie, but so can the police officer. You never know which one is telling the truth, but this way it can just expose the whole truth, and it holds them more accountable to make their decisions. It has complete transparency. Everyone can see what transpires between officers and citizens, so there's no lies left there. Decisions made by officers in intense situations can be reviewed and evaluated. That way they can tell if their best officer is really their best officer, or that's just what they are like behind the scenes. Recorded video evidence refutes false claims against officers. So if an officer is accused of injuring somebody or doing something that doesn't lie within the rules of being a police officer, it is exposed and they can actually find out if something really went wrong. It provides valuable public relations and benefits to the agency. Video and audio recording can record victim statements and witness accounts so that you can actually know if something they said, maybe they admitted to something and then denied it later, then you can always know. And recorded video is valuable evidence that is difficult to refute in court. Because in the end, if you have video evidence, you have the truth. That's it.
All right, we'll just relax for 5 minutes. We'll hear the other side. So you can just hang for 5.
It's okay.
I didn't want to cut your.
She was ready. She's like, let's go.
No, we can't go tomorrow. What? I want to get it right away.
Like you sit down and you're already up there.
What, you're missing the first one or the second one? We have 20 minutes.
We'll just have
You ready? All right, let's just hold off on YouTube.
You're on.
So then, so are you gonna hear only one no tomorrow then?
Or are you going to go switch to the next one?
Yeah. Okay.
You don't
What is
know.
the next one, by the way? Is it Emily and me?
Because weren't there two? Because I don't remember hearing the one if weed should be legalized. I don't have any notes. Okay. We haven't done that one. We haven't done.
And we haven't done ours. So who's next then?
Yeah,
So
we're-
second round last or next? I'm ready. I just haven't done a practice run. So like I want to make sure it's feasible, I guess.
I want to make sure it sounds.
It makes
like-
sense.
I'm not up there and I'm like this.
Hey, and you're not like
standing there.
stand your ground back.
No Catherine.
Thank
presenting. Oh yeah. You got
Stand your ground back.
no, whenever you go next.